Hello, and welcome to Let's Talk Death Doula. I'm Hope. I am a death doula. I created Mind Brain Mortality, and what I'm doing is I'm starting this new podcast series. So if you're new, awesome. Thank you for stopping by. If you're old, you might notice that I changed things up a little bit from Mind Brain movies. Now that I am becoming a death doula, I wanted to focus more on just like talking. We're still going to talk movies and like TV shows and all that, but I want to do it with more so with the twist on death and death centric and just a little bit more education into what a death doula is. I'm also going to be solo. Most of these episodes I might have a guest here or there, but just me. Um, First question, or probably your first question, is what is a death doula? So, a death doula is a non medical person who comes in, and what they do is they're basically like a companion. They're there for you at your end of life journey. They can provide advocacy, they can help you get your final things in order. We can just be there as a, like I said, as a companion, someone to talk to about these things because not everyone's comfortable with death. And because we know death and we know the processes and the ins and outs, it might be a little easier for us to guide you into this journey, because if you can control how your fate is, with if you're diagnosed with something, I want to make sure that your end of life is important and goes how you want it to go, not by anybody else's means and methods. You can look up more, I guess, examples or a professional definition if you go to Enelda online or something like that. But I'm kind of just like chill. As you can tell, I like spooky things, colored hair. I like to keep it grounded, down to earth. So here we are. That's the first question out of the way, I guess. um, yeah, this is the first time I'm doing this by myself, and it feels weird talking to you guys, just me, but whatever. We're here now, guys. We're here. We're gonna stick it out. Today, though, first thing I wanted to talk about in this new series, Let's Talk Death Doula, is the anime show Plastic Memories. Now, as just a quick little rundown, Plastic Memories, it's a one season, like, I want to say like 13 episodes. Basically, the premise is that these robots, they call Giftias, they're these sentient human beings, and people can like buy them or rent them or lease them however you want, and they become a person's companion. And that could be great for many of things. Sometimes you are alone and you don't have any family, so that people will get these, or they might have lost a child, so they want this Giftia to come in and kind of be that child. But the caveat of these Giftias is that their lifespan is only about 7 years. And it goes through this one, I guess, department of Giftia retrievers who go, and when the Giftia is at their end of life, these people will retrieve them. And it's called Plastic Memories, because they're these like fake robotic plastic beings, but they do have love and they're sentient and they can live and eat and breathe and all this. So it's really hard to distinguish between real and Giftia, and most people couldn't even tell. It's only like other Giftias who know. And this series focuses on the two main characters, Sukasa and Ayla, the who both work for this department. One's human and one's a Giftia, and Ayla, the Giftia, is nearing the end of her life, like her lifespan. Now, I love this anime. One, short and sweet, to the point. Awesome. But another reason is because it's so real in the point of like getting to your emotions. Just right off the bat in episode 1, they meet this old granny and she has a gift of this little girl, and she's like, nope, that's my granddaughter, that's my girl. And she doesn't want to give her up, and it's because they do have a bond and she loves her, and she's so reluctant to let the workers come in and take her baby girl away, even though she knows, her time is coming to an end. And that right there can show a lot of things, how, friends and family, they don't want to let go. Even if the person who is actively dying at the end of their life, even if they're ready, everyone else might not be, and they might want you to fight and fight, but that's maybe not on your terms. And there's a scene where Isla is talking to this little girl finally, and she's like, well, aren't you scared of like dying? And she's like, well yeah, of course I am, but I know, it's part of life, and it comes for everybody basically. And here, I'll play the clip for you.
家族になれてとても嬉しかったよ。あなたは回収されることを受け入れているの？おばあちゃんと一緒にいたいって思わないの？思うよ。思うけどね。このままだとニーナは壊れちゃってみんなに迷惑かけるだろうから。そしたらきっとおばあちゃん悲しんじゃう。おばあちゃんが悲しいのはニーナも悲しい。だから一緒にいちゃダメなんだよ。
And then that right there is just a gut punch. It shows that, yeah, like, even if we're scared, we don't have to be afraid, so to say. It's kind of an oxymoron, but if we know what's coming and we can grasp it on our own, then we can do anything. It's also maybe not necessarily a fear of oneself passing on, but also maybe someone you're afraid for when you leave them. And there's also another clip basically where she's saying goodbye to her granny, but she wants to smile. She wants her granny to smile. And she's like, I know this is hard and I'm worried for you. And she's just like begging and pleading, like, hey, don't forget this, don't do this, because a lot of the times the fear might not necessarily come from you dying, but possibly you're worried what's going to happen to those you leave behind. And that right there is something else that a death doula can help you take care of. Get those life plans in order. Make sure you have everything set, because when these moments come and they're super hard, it's what are you gonna do? You want to make the most of it and make sure you have everything in order, whether it's for yourself or for your loved ones, and whether it's planning the funeral or making sure like a trust is set up after the fact, or, just living out the rest of your own days how you want to. I know later on in the series when Isla tells everybody, like, hey, like, I'm coming to my end of life, everyone starts like chipping in, and they're like, oh, here's some concert tickets, here's some movie tickets, why don't you do this, take the day off, And my biggest thing is, like, even if you're coming to the end of your life, it doesn't mean you have to stop living, and if willing and able, obviously, sometimes we can't accept that, but we can still make the most of what we can do. Maybe your last uh, like wishes to go to the beach, but you might be bedridden. You know what? We'll bring the sand to you. You know, just you don't have to give up on everything if you're coming to the end. And that's what Isla does. And you know, she does these things with Sukasa, where she, you know, is living her best life with someone who she truly cares about and loves. And the funny the funny thing to me is, at the end of it, she's like, I just want every day to be like normal. I want to go to work. I want to tend to my garden, you know. And some people just want that. They want the stability. They want the normacy up until the very end. And that's what she wanted, so that's what she got, man. And I think that's beautiful to like know that how you want and everything. Now, I'm not going to spoil the rest of the series for you too. If you do want to go and watch it, you know, because there's different giftias they go and they talk to, and they have their own backstories, and all throughout, you know, Isla's coming to her own terms and her own recognition and learning what she wants for herself and everything. Um, Again, it's only 13 episodes, so definitely check it out. It's fantastic. But yeah, that's just like my take on it is in that sense, in this world of plastic memories, these giftias, they know what their, I guess, time frame is. So they know how to, you know, say goodbye or prepare. And not everybody gets that. In a perfect world, maybe we would, but it also goes to show if you do maybe have that, you know, luxury of knowing, maybe just know what you want to do and just go ahead and do it, man. Um, yeah, thanks for putting up with me for my first episode. It's gonna just be a short one because I'm still figuring things out. At least by myself. I've done podcasts, but it's always been with other people. This is weird for just me. Again, thank you for sticking it out with Let's Talk Death Doula and Plastic Memories. If you want, you can also follow us on all of our socials like TikTok and Instagram. Also, we started a new Discord where we have like weekly community talks, and I just want to create a safe space for everyone to talk about death and death education and just share their stories. I'll have all that linked below. And yeah, stay tuned for the next round of me hopefully better breaking down anime or TV and movies surrounding death. And I'm very excited, and I can't wait to see you guys next time. Bye.